Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we are opening the lid on something pretty critical. It's the Q4 2025 employee engagement data for the UK.
Mm.
And our mission today is to, cut through what is a massive amount of data.
It's huge.
We want to pull out the most important knowledge. We're going to focus on the engagement index, eNPS, and something I think is key employee participation.
Trust, really.
Exactly. Because what happened in Q4, it feels like more than just a seasonal dip. It feels like a real shift.
It is. And just for context, the data set we're talking about, it's collated from over 500,000 employee responses.
Wow.
And it's strictly UK-based organizations, all sizes, all sectors, from October to December 2025. This really is the definitive temperature check.
Okay, let's unpack this, starting with the biggest headline, and frankly, it's pretty alarming, the overall engagement index.
Right. So the index, that's our compass. It's built from three core ideas:
Yep.
loyalty, advocacy, and pride.
All measured on a 0 to 10 scale, right?
Correct. And a 7 or above, that's what we consider a positive score. That's active engagement.
So the critical Q4 result, it's sitting at 6.7. And for context, that 6.7, it's not just a bit soft. It is the lowest level recorded in our benchmark history.
Ever. And it dropped sharply from 7.5 in Q3.
And 0.8 point decline in just 3 months. That's a massive mood change across the entire workforce.
It is. And to really grasp the gravity of a 0.8 point fall, you have to realize that represents tens of thousands of employees moving into, a disengaged state.
Or actively looking for other jobs.
And the underlying numbers tell us exactly where the cracks are. Loyalty has fallen to a really concerning 6.0. Advocacy is at 6.8.
Yeah.
And even pride, that sort of emotional connection, that dropped from 8.1 all the way down to 7.4.
That loyalty score at 6.0, that's the number that should be keeping leaders awake at night.
It should.
That's where the actual turnover risk is, isn't it? It's not just complaining, it's people are actively looking.
Exactly. Loyalty, especially retention intention, it's the most reliable early signal of voluntary turnover.
So this is an early warning system.
That's the perfect way to put it. The index isn't a judgment. It's an alarm bell. Leaders can't wait for the attrition reports to confirm what this is already telling them.
So, okay, the advice is always close the feedback loop. But what does that actually mean? For a leader in a big company, say 5,000 people, what are 2 or 3 real things they should do right now?
First, they need to prioritize manager-led conversations, real human conversations.
Not just emails.
No. Replace the annual review with frequent stay interviews. Ask people directly, what would make you stay here another year?
I like that.
Second, be hyper-transparent about the results of the last survey. Show one small, high-impact thing you fixed because of it. Visible action rebuilds trust way faster than a promise.
That's a great point. And it moves us nicely from the big picture to the sectors. The national average fell off a cliff, but let's see who's weathering the storm.
And there are some really clear divergences here. Technology, for instance, continues to lead.
They always do.
They're holding steady at 7.9. They seem remarkably resilient to whatever pulled that average down.
But is that genuine engagement, or is it just that high salaries and good benefits act as a buffer?
That's a fair challenge.
I mean, could those high scores in tech be masking some serious burnout that other sectors just can't afford to ignore?
Well, the bucker is real, no doubt. But the data does suggest the fundamentals, clarity of mission, pace of innovation, are inherently engaging. But your point is well taken. On the flip side, the most encouraging story is in health.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah.
This sector shows one of the clearest improvements. It rose from 7.4 over the summer up to 7.7 during Q4.
That suggests a genuinely better day-to-day experience, maybe some local leadership efforts paying off?
I think so. But it's not all good news. Housing associations, for example, are usually highly engaged, but they showed a subtle dip.
How sus?
Peaked at 7.7, then dipped to 7.6 in December.
Just 0.1, but it's the direction that matters.
Exactly. And that reflects year-end fatigue, regulatory pressures. It's a constant pressure cooker.
And then at the bottom, we see some familiar names.
Unfortunately, yes. Education at 6.7 and government at 6.6, still the lowest scores.
Which match the national average low point.
And the fact that they're not improving suggests these are deep structural problems, not things you can fix with a 6-month engagement plan.
Here's where it gets really interesting for me. If the whole country's engagement is struggling, how much of that is just down to the size of the company you work for?
We see a very, very clear pattern, almost textbook.
Which is?
The larger the organization, the lower the engagement.
Simple as that.
Pretty much. Smaller organizations, so 0 to 250 employees, they consistently have the highest score at 7.4.
Which makes sense. You can see the leaders, you feel connected to what the company is doing.
Direct communication. It's powerful. Mid-sized firms are stable, around 7.2, 7.3.
But the problems start at the top end.
They do. Very large organizations, so 5,001 plus employees, they remain at the lowest levels, 6.7. And since they employ so many people
They're the ones dragging the whole national benchmark down.
heavily, the complexity of scale, the lack of leadership visibility, it's just depressing engagement across this massive part of the workforce.
It sounds like organizational complexity is basically the biggest barrier to engagement in the UK right now. Okay, let's pivot to the Employee Net Promoter Score, or eNPS. So we know how engaged people feel, but would they actually recommend their company to a friend?
And eNPS measures exactly that. The score runs from -100 to +100. But the scale is important here.
What's a typical score?
A typical score in the UK market is actually quite low, often between -10 and +20. Anything over, say, +41 is considered outstanding.
That's a really important context. Okay, so who are the leaders?
No surprise, technology is strongest again, consistently in the low to mid-30s.
And what about health?
Health, again, shows a really significant improvement. They rose from 20 during the summer to a solid 30 from October on.
A +30 in a high-pressure environment like health is exceptional.
It is. It correlates directly with that improved engagement index we saw earlier.
Housing associations also did well, peaking at 31 before settling at 28. So they're turning engagement into actual advocacy.
They are. But the volatility of eNPS is best shown by the nonprofit sector.
What happened there?
They saw the sharpest drop we have in the data. They plummeted from 14 in September down to just 4 in December.
Wow, from 14 to 4. That's a collapse.
It's an erosion of advocacy. It suggests a rapid failure in morale, probably triggered by something like funding freezes or some major uncertainty.
And just like with engagement, education and government are still stuck in negative territory here too.
Yes, reinforcing that their challenges are deep and systemic. Advocacy is built slowly, but as we see, it can be destroyed almost overnight.
So how does that volatility play out across different company sizes?
Small firms, the 0 to 250 group, they lead again. Steady around +21, very good score.
But the mid-sized companies,
Yeah.
That's where things get fragile.
It's extremely fragile. The 501 to 1,000 employee group, they peaked at 17 in September,
Okay,
but dropped sharply to 10 by December.
that's a big swing. Why?
It suggests that as these firms grow, they get the bureaucracy and complexity of a large company, but they don't yet have the resources to manage it.
So it's the worst of both worlds in a way.
For the employee experience, it can be. And the very largest firms, the 5,000 plus group, they just plateaued at a low score of 8 all through Q4.
Just 8.
To get that number up in a huge organization takes a massive, deliberate effort in communication. You need visible leaders and structured feedback loops.
And that idea of feedback brings us to what I think is the most provocative data in this whole report: survey response rates. This isn't just a methodological point. This is a direct measure of trust.
Absolutely. The benchmark we recommend is a minimum of 75% participation for the results to be truly representative.
And if employees feel safe and they feel like their feedback will actually lead to something?
Participation is high. If they don't trust the process, they just won't bother.
So against that 75% goal, who actually hit it?
Only one sector, entertainment and recreation, at 79%.
And look at their trajectory. They were at 43% last quarter.
It's an astonishing leap.
That has to mean they took the last set of feedback, did something visible, and people went, oh, okay, this is real, and trust shot up.
That's exactly what it implies. And again, look at health, another massive improvement.
From what to what?
They went from just 12% participation last quarter all the way up to 70% in Q4.
12 to 70, that's incredible.
And that surge connects directly to their higher eNPS. When confidence to speak up rises, engagement and advocacy follow.
So what's the secret? How did health manage that? What are they doing that, say, technology or government, who are both below 55%, are missing?
It's probably not a technical fix. It's a strategic one. They likely swapped the generic all-company email for manager-led, team-level conversations about the survey.
Making it more personal.
And probably promising and delivering on one small, easily fixable issue really quickly. Those lower confidence areas, like tech at 52% and government at 48%, their employees are basically silently protesting the whole process.
Okay, finally, let's look at these response rates by company size, because this is where we see the most seismic shock in the whole report.
It's dramatic. Starting small, the smaller orgs actually improve, from 57% up to 64%. Still below the target, but moving the right way.
But the mid-size group,
They dropped significantly, from 71% down to 51%.
which again speaks to that fragility we saw in their eNPS score.
Yes. But the sharpest shock,
Mm-hmm.
the number that should be on a slide in every boardroom,
Mm-hmm.
is in the largest organizations.
The 5,001 plus group.
They fell from a high of 82% in Q3 to a shocking 42% in Q4.
82 down to 42 in 3 months.
That is not apathy. That is a protest vote.
It's an active refusal to participate. An organization that had almost everyone giving feedback now has less than half.
It almost certainly means that the Q3 survey results were either ignored or not acted upon visibly. So confidence it collapsed.
That 42% response rate, it's a strategic disaster. Half the workforce has effectively said, we don't trust you to listen anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So this whole deep dive, it really paints a clear picture of the challenge for UK leaders going into 2026.
Mm-hmm.
We've hit the lowest engagement index in history. The size of your company is a huge barrier. And maybe most critically, we saw trust just implode in our biggest workforces.
And this raises a really important question. If you see response rates fall from 82% to 42%, you have to recognize that participation isn't static.
It can vanish.
It can vanish. So for you, the listener, the key takeaway is that confidence is the prerequisite for any of this. You can't fix engagement if half your people won't even talk to you.
The data shows that improving that 6.7 engagement index is one challenge, but maintaining the trust for people to actually share their feedback, as we saw with those response rates, that might be the even bigger, more fundamental challenge now. So what visible, radical, and immediate steps will leaders take to rebuild the trust they need just to hear the answers? Thank you for joining us for this crucial deep dive into the latest UK employee engagement benchmarks. We will catch you next time.